You turn my mourning into dancing. You turn my mourning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my mourning into dancing. 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 Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything.
Rooted men, good morning and happy Wednesday morning. This is another day for us to dig into the Word a little bit. We're in Proverbs chapter 29. It's good to have all of you on board the middle of the week. Going out into teens, temperatures in the teens is just like, I mean, isn't that supposed to be like January or February or something? Oh, need some warmer weather. Need some warmer weather. All right, let's see. Tom Donnelly says, good morning, Rooted Men. Bert Reggiani, good morning, gentlemen. Steve Giroux, praying you start feeling better. By the way, my dad would say 3 doses of apple cider vinegar during the day. And not straight like you did last time. You mix it with water. Chris Connolly, morning, everyone. Ken Gooch, good morning, fellow brothers in arms. I was thinking about that phrase, brothers in arms. Every time I hear it, I think of 2 definitions. One is that we are armed brothers, that we're putting on the full armor of God. But secondly, it is we linked arms because we're united in why we're armed and the direction that we're moving. I don't know if that's the original definition of that word, but every time I see Ken put that up there, that's what I think. Thought I would share that with you. Chuck B, good morning. Firm Rooted Men, blessings to you all. Brian Vlaming, good morning. Chris Connolly, Need Florida. Amen. Let's all go. Rooted Men's trip. There's got to be something down there that we can do. All right. I'm doing Proverbs 29, and I'm doing 11 through 18. And let's pull it up. Boom. Tom's got it up. Fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end. The wise are quick to listen and slow to speak. The wise heed the writings of James, that we should be angry but do not sin and do not give the devil an opportunity. There is a type of anger that's just, and there's a type of anger that's unjust. We've talked about that, and that needs to be understood. And we can only know that if we're operating in the right kingdom, right? So fools will just vent their rage and obliterate anybody in their path, but the wise bring calm in the end. The wise cut like a knife through the tension and speak truth and love like Jesus did, and boom, calm in the end. If a ruler listens to lies, all the officials become wicked. Ooh, I'm not even touching that one. It is so absolutely true. Lies are deadly because they come to steal, kill, and destroy. And when your leaders, whether it's local or state or federal, when they start lying, like how can we even know why they're doing it? What's the motive? The poor and the oppressor have this in common. The Lord gives sight to the eyes of both. We've read some other passages where it is said in Proverbs that God takes care of the poor and that we're supposed to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. But he also says the wicked oppress the poor, and God says, I see it all the time. There's nothing I miss. The poor and the oppressor are both imago Dei, created in the image of God. It's the oppressed or the oppressors that believe they have some type of elite right to have what they have, to be what they have, and to oppress those who don't. If a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne will be established forever. If anyone realizes that I've got to be the same person even to the least of these, that I've got to love my enemies and pray for those who persecute me, there's going to be establishment of God's presence and God's reality because those are his truths. A wicked world is going to say they don't mean anything, use them, abuse them, enslave them, whatever it is, doesn't matter. We need them, but we need them only to the degree that they serve us. But someone who judges fairly, even the poor, even those who, like, why are you wasting your time? And the answer is because they matter just as much as anyone else. There's something to establish a community on, a government on. A rod and a reprimand impart wisdom, but a child left undisciplined disgraces its mother. Again, that idea that our old nature needs a deterrent. It's why we have speed laws and we have how much you can drink laws and what you can do and say about someone else. There's slander laws. There's always these laws that are a deterrent from doing something bad. I don't want to pay the price. I don't want to pay the price, so I'm going to avoid doing it. I still want to do it. My evil heart wants to do it, but the deterrent overwhelms me and I don't. Discipline. Again, that becomes rougher and rougher when we begin to treat the criminal like the victim and the victim like the criminal, and people don't pay a price for what they do, and people can lie, cheat, and steal and never be convicted, never be arrested, never be tried. That, like, it just becomes chaotic. Verse, let's see, 18. Where there is no revelation, people cast off restraint. In other passages, it says people perish. Where there is no revelation, people cast off restraint. But blessed is the one who heeds wisdom's instruction. Revelation. The key to this verse, and I want us to think about this today. The greatest truths are not the ones that we create. The greatest ones are the ones revealed to us. We can't trust the things we create because we're faulty, broken, sinful. But when the God of the universe speaks a word that never changes, that eternally is true, that becomes an absolute. That becomes the first domino in any kind of progression of thought. That revelation is critical. Because if we wipe off and erase truth and say there is no such thing as absolute truth, you know, that words that were once absolute are now progressive and they can be redefined and they can be, what happens is all of a sudden people are going to perish. Everyone's going to throw off restraint. Those truths are not restraining them anymore, and they can just kind of do whatever they want, and a society will get demolished. A society will just get wiped out. Because there's no restraint. There's no revelation saying that's right, that's wrong. And all of a sudden, it's chaos, right? Because if everybody did what they wanted to do, we would not be a community. We would be a chaotic mess. And eventually, we would play survival of the fittest because we want order. There has to be order. But who's going to give us the order? Well, some dictator eventually is going to tell you what you have to believe, what you can't believe, what you can hear, what you can see, control this and that, control speech, control all these things. What this verse is saying is that's the outcome you're going to get if you let go of God's revelation. God has already told us who we are. God has already told us about our condition. God has already told us that there are eternal rules by which if we develop a society rooted in them, you will have stability. But wipe these out, wash these out, make them disappear, and you're going to have a chaotic, unrestrained society. But blessed is the one who heeds wisdom's instruction. It's just the opposing argument. Keep those revelations, keep them true, and adhere to them. Be wise. Don't be stupid and don't be a fool and don't be an idiot that thinks that you can just erase a truth and it's not going to have a consequence. It's going to have a consequence. The wise say, no, put the truth back. I don't care. The truth has to go back. Because if the truth doesn't go back, then we're going to find ourselves in utter chaos. All right. That's true both spiritually and physically, isn't it? It's not just a truth for the kingdom of this world, but God's kingdom. We can't alter his truth, even in the way that we practice the church and in the way that we live out. We're called to do the things God called us to do, and the question all the time is, are we? All right, I'll leave it at that. That's verse 18. I'm going to pull myself back in. Let's see. Tony Agro, great to have you on board. Gentlemen, I hope that this devotion was a blessing to you. Steve Drew, I hope you and Diane are starting to feel a little bit better, but don't forget that apple cider vinegar. Put some water. You can even put some honey in it, but not too much. All right. Blessings on your day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.